All right, guys, it's early Friday morning. I'm still pretty wore out, but I'm going to go ahead and soldier on today. I just grabbed a few little things I've got on a shelf in my house. It's some stuff I detailed, and I just kind of wanted to show you guys some of the detail stuff I've done to the car. This is stuff I've done a couple years back, but this is just a few of the small things I've done. This is a factory speedometer setup for the 55. Originally they just had a flat black piece here, and it has little bitty dots all in it. And if you're familiar with a 55 Chevy, they have all these little bow ties, and it's a dash panel. And I actually duplicated it off the original backing in the way I bent it and everything. I was a jeweler for a couple of years, so I have a lot of fancy little small bits and on a flex shaft and stuff. So I actually opened that up, for the indicators, the numeral indicators there. But originally the 55 needles are a white color. I changed them to orange because I bought a set of 3 of Autometer gauges with the black face, white letters, and orange needles. So I ended up, I went all around town one day and I bought every can of orange spray paint I could find, and there was only one of them, and it was called Orange Glow, and it actually matches those Autometer needles perfectly. So I like my gauges to match in my vehicles. I don't mind adding accessory gauges under the dash or whatever, but I do not like a triple gauge pack screwed under the dash that's white face when your dash is black face. It just looks out of place to me. But anyway, my dash trim I got for the car, I got a reproduction set, and it does not have the hole for the lighter or the factory radio, so it's just a smooth bow tie piece all the way across. But I ended up making that piece right there out of the extra dash trim that I had. And anyway, they have the bright light indicator on a 55 is red, not blue like you would think like late model cars have. So I did a LED in that, and I also modified the face that goes over this. It has LEDs, little green LEDs also. So I just tried to, I can't afford Classic Instruments gauge pack or, VDO or any of the others, the fancy Dakota digital stuff. So I just kind of tried to use what I had here, and I did respray the green in here, but anyway, that's my speedometer housing. I do have a re-chromed bezel, and actually all my dash stuff has all been re-chromed or it's new. So anyway, the speedometer, it's unique only to my car, and I kind of dig that. Another thing I did, 55 Chevys, this is called the paint divider, and it goes right here. There's actually another piece of trim that's, like 1.5 inches wide that screws to the top here, and then this goes on and meets it. So this part behind this trim up here will be gray. This will be black. So when these cars were two-tone from the factory, the dash is usually your primary front color, unless it's a first series 55. This one in particular is the first series because this car was originally coral in the front and gray on the roof in the back half. The dash was gray, so that was a first series. About mid-year they changed it, so the dashes ended up being coral. I was also told by a guy that 6-cylinder cars had coral and V8 had a gray dash, but nobody knows for certain. But anyway, generally they are primary body color of the dash, so your garnish molding meets your dash. And garnish molding in particular on a hardtop comes up and it meets this. They never line up when you see these cars at a show. This dash corner never meets the garnish molding. So I ended up, I cut the dash loose from the factory spot weld back here, and I moved that corner down until it met when I had my doors. I mocked up all my trim, stainless and everything. So my garnish molding actually meets this. Now what's funny is they use the same dash in all 55 Chevy cars. The dash is straight. Hardtop garnish molding's angled. So I actually cut my dash at that same angle and I recapped it with some steel. And I used my same gap that I used on my panels for my thickness in between there. So Garnish molding we basically contour all the way down. Now, back to what I was getting to. That garnish molding comes back and meets this garnish molding. Now, to me, you know, you've got your paint divider comes up here. So you got black here, gray here, which is what I'll be doing, black and gray. But the garnish molding would usually be black all the way back. So it's a break in that theme. So what I did, and I've never seen this done, and it took hours. I made these out of an extra set of those, but I did use sedan ones. You know, hardtop ones are a little bit more expensive. They're actually shorter than a sedan. So I had a sedan set, because they're the same off a four-door, and I had one that was pretty crunched down at the bottom, and another one had a pretty thick gouge in it, so I just cut them up. But anyway, I cut those pieces. You can see all the little peck marks back there that, you know, trying to get stainless steel to bend that tight with that raised contour, it was a bear. I think I spent about 2 days on these, making 2 of them. I'll use some double-sided 3M tape underneath. But anyway, these go on right here. So now I can two-tone my inner garnish molding. This back here will be gray to match the quarter. But I got these exactly bent to shape to fit that molding. Now it's a detail item that a lot of people is never going to catch that's not original. I have seen a couple guys two-tone their garnish moldings in the past. I've seen them use like pinstriping or a chrome thin pinstripe tape there, but I don't think anybody's ever done that. I do have 4-wheel disc brakes on the car, but they are just GM discs, so I made my own caliper covers out of steel. These are extra dash scripts. I have 4 used ones, and these will actually, I will paint these scripts the gray pearl that goes on the back, but I'm going to paint the caliper covers black. I don't want them in your face, you know. I don't want your eyes drawn to the brake calipers through the wheels, so the only thing that'll be visible pretty much is the Belair. But these will actually bolt onto the caliper, and I made them all 4 the same size so they look identical. But anyway, when you look at the car from a side view, you'll see Belair on the brake caliper covers, and I think that's pretty cool. My whole theme on the car is speed holds. I drill holes and then I chamfer them a little bit just to give them a little bit more detail. These are the gas tank straps. I've done those. I've done the bar across the top of the grill. Just lots of stuff. I did that too. I even did the hood latch. And I do like even spacing them, and even when I step them, I like them even spaced. And it takes a lot of time, and I do it by hand with a drill, and it just kind of sucks. But this is the actual gas pedal rod. These are usually round, and I flattened off both sides, and then I drilled holes and I beveled them. And I used a little bit of silver paint down inside the holes, but it'll go up in there kind of like that. So you'll see the side of it in there. And of course, this is my brake pedal. Now I did step these, and I did the silver inlay in those. I took this completely apart, blasted every piece, and put it back together. That's a new brake light switch. I got rid of the studs that go through the firewall. The factory ones are just steel, and I polished and then welded in a couple of stainless steel studs that'll go through the firewall with some 12-point ARPs. But I did the gray that matches on the brake pedal and the gas pedal. So that'll be a pretty neat little feature hanging out on the dash that may go unnoticed. This will connect to my factory style linkage, but it goes to the carburetor linkage to the factory rod up here, so this will actuate the carburetor. But I did the speed holes on it. That's raw metal. I haven't primered it or anything yet, but everything, pretty much matches. This is my glove box door, and there is a ton of work here that no one would ever know. The glove box generally goes to about here. Well, actually this end, because an ashtray goes on this side of the dash. So I extended out. I've said it in an earlier video. I extended that glove box, and I made a solid steel liner in there. I have a CD player that goes in there, and just a bunch of switches and some other stuff. But a factory glove box, it has a rolled edge all the way around. And when I extended it. I used the face of the glove box, but I welded steel in the end to fold over, so it looks like an OEM fold all the way around. Originally they have a cup holder sunk in, and I cut it all out, replated everything. So there's hours in that glove box door, just to lengthen it, smoothen it, and roll the edges. I am using the 12-point ARPs and all of this stuff, just for the detail when the glove box doors open. Also drilled speed holes in the bracket. That's the stop, you know, when you open the glove box. It goes in that slot up there. So it's pretty neat, just little stuff, you know, but I have a lot of it. This is just a drop in the bucket of some of the stuff I did. But now this is my wing nut for the factory air cleaner. I made this out of steel. It's identical to the factory 55 hood bird. I haven't decided on a color yet. I'll actually probably just paint it like a gloss black, because the air cleaner, you know, it'll be black also, but I tried to put as much detail in it as I could as the factory one. But anyway, if you stuck a factory hood bird up there, you could tell right away that it's identical. I just have a piece of all thread in there to basically hold on to it while I was primering it and stuff. But handmade out of steel, my own personal little wing nut. And a guy actually told me that I should market those and call them the winged nut. But you know, everybody's going fuel injection nowadays, so there wouldn't be that big of a cause for them, I don't think. But anyway, this is just a few things I wanted to touch on. I thought you guys might get a kick out of them. This little stuff like this, you know, I've spent hours and hours and hours doing this stuff, but you know, I got more time than I got money, so I don't mind. You know, when you do little detail stuff to your car, it makes it your car. And there's no way that you know, some another hardtop's going to park by me at a car show, and there's no way I'm not going to be able to pick out my car, you know. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get started.